Hello, Lord Xavier, and welcome. I don't have the music on. Your deck review. For those of you joining us on YouTube for the first time, this is a series where I, Malthound, a known commander hater and not enjoyer, will pleasantly and lovingly review your commander deck's PP. Your PP being your premise and your practicum. Your premise is the idea behind your deck. It's what you hope it will do. Your practicum is what it actually does. It's the stuff you already have in your 99. So we're going to spend a little bit of time investigating what this person wants out of the deck, whether or not that's achievable at the bracket they're aiming for, or if they will have to compromise. And then after that, we'll take a look at what we can do in the 99. So this deck is Terra Magical Adept, who is actually 5 colors because of her abundantly large backside. And on ETB, she mills 5, you get an enchantment back. You can flip her. She can make copies of non-legendary enchantments. So if you're doing Final Fantasy Saga summons, you can copy those. If you make a non-legendary copy of Terra, you can do that over and over and over and over again and just crash out and kill everybody. And what we love about this deck is they were playing it and they had a turn where they used Gifts Ungiven, which puts you take 4 cards in your deck, any 4 cards you want. 2 of them go into your hand, 2 of them go into your graveyard. And then they used a mass enchantment reanimation spell, I believe Replenish, brought back a ton of summons, overran the board, and they were like, I want more of that. I want to do that. That's awesome. And we can definitely do that. Now, they've said the goal is bracket 4. However, if you feel it would sit better as high bracket 3 because of vibes or playstyle, we're cool with that. We're kind of going to have to talk about that because you say the 2 lines of play that we want this to be built on is I'm going to play Terra, I'm going to blink Terra a lot. After I get my graveyard nice and full, I'm going to do something that brings back all of my enchantments and I'm going to use that board state to kill everybody. Or I'm going to play Terra, I'm going to flip Terra, I'm going to do a non-legendary clone of her, and then I'm going to win with the infinite. That first line of play is bracket 3 as fuck. That second line of play is bracket 4. I think technically you could be inside the guidelines of bracket 3 because it's like it's a 2-card infinite where 1/2 is in your command zone, but it's very mana hungry, right? You have to play Terra. You can't do it in 1 turn unless you also get a haste enabler involved because we have a turn of playing Terra, we have a turn of flipping Terra, then we probably have another turn of getting the non-legendary clone out. So like by the book, people can interact with that. They can see it coming ahead of time. But by the vibes, this is like a frustrating thing to have happen in bracket 3. As like just flatly. Anytime you have two card combo, 1 card is in my command zone in bracket 3, that rubs me the wrong way for sure. And then this game plan, that dog does not fucking hunt in bracket 4. Like that's the thing. We could have line of play number 1 be the backbone of this deck, be the backbone of like a solid bracket 3 deck, and then we could have like, well, maybe like 5% of every game we have this happen. If we can find a reasonable non-legendary, like a reasonable clone that breaks the legend rule that we would want to include in the deck anyway, but we wouldn't be tutoring it for it every time. We wouldn't be like speed running doing this. I think that could coexist in a bracket 3 deck, but it's still really risky. But it's like it has to be your main thing in bracket 4 if you want the bracket 4 deck to care about Terra. I don't think there is any world where we are doing bracket 4 deck that cares about using Terra as a mid-range value engine unless it is play Terra, blink and or food chain Terra into doing an underworld breach combo unrelated to replenish. So we could do that. We could do like, I'm going to have Rhystic Study. I'm going to have Necropotence. I'm going to have Smothering Tithe. I'm going to have insert 4th really good enchantment that I don't know off the dome. But any bracket 4 deck that seek to use Terra as like a mid-range value engine, you would really just be doing 5-color good stuff. And you would want to win by having a full graveyard, but you wouldn't care about winning because you've replenished all of your Final Fantasy summons. You would care about winning because it's like, here's Underworld Breach, here's Brain Freeze, here's Lion's Eye Diamond. Get fucked. Get fucked. I hate you guys. So with what you have described here, I think this is probably a situation where you split the decks in two. I think the one you're probably going to like more is the bracket 3 version that leans more into this like replenish game plan. But I think you should at least try out the bracket 4 version of Terra so you can understand what that is like. Because the bracket 4 version of Terra is basically all, or the for line of play 2 to like get a non-legendary clone of Terra. That's basically all fast mana tutors and then the stone cold like best 5-color staples like the Enchantress plan, the Final Fantasy plan, the Blink plan, like all of those cards are dead in that draft of the deck. So it would be a useful thought experiment for you to at least make it in Moxfield where you just go like, how many fucking tutors can I find? Vamp tutor, demonic tutor, etc., etc., etc. Get me, because there's now like, I think there's like 10 to 12 different spells that break the legend rule now, so you're really not hard up for them. You might even be able to put in so many that you could make a deck where you were confident that you could mulligan to one, which is kind of fucked up. And if you could do that, then it's a pretty short shot to just going like, okay, well then my deck is going to be the Ramp Master Supreme. Maybe I have 1 or 2 haste enablers, and my game plan is I will legally mulligan down to something that breaks the legend rule. I will turbo ramp and try to have a flipped Terra, that I can clone on like turn 3, turn 4. And then all I have is like hyper efficient counter magic. And you're almost like, you're like shitty Rogsai. You have a different outlet than Rogsai, but I think that would be the energy behind it. But let's talk about mid-range Terra. Let's talk about line of play 1. Let's talk about having, big turns where we get stuff into the graveyard and we reanimate our whole graveyard and then we body people with that. So with your draw section, we have when we care about counters, draw a card, enchantment ETB, draw a card, deal damage, draw a card, something dies on our turn, draw a card, Mystic fucking Remora, take a counter off something, Flood Pit, Sylvan Library. So what stands out to me here is that almost all of our draw section is predicated upon our game plan already being successful. I'm not going to say that's by necessity wrong. Some game plans can be very resilient. Sometimes you can be really confident in that. That is a vulnerability. The only cards here that just stone cold draw you cards are Mystic Remora, Overlord, and Sylvan Library. Now, Mystic Remora and Sylvan Library are very, very, very good. And Overlord of the Floodblitz is still pretty solid, but these are very, very few cards. So I think there's definitely a weakness here. And if you wanted to be more reliable in your card advantage, I think Enduring Curiosity. Well, how many summons do we have? Because it's either in. I think it's either Enduring Curiosity or Danny Pink, who I think is the most vulnerable to going wrong. But that depends on. That depends on how many of our enchantments are creatures. And then I guess also, or sorry, how many of our creatures are also sagas? Because those are the ones that are going to have counters put on them, right? So I see 4 here. 5, 6, 7, 8. Less than 10 in the deck. I don't know about that one. Like I can see why Danny Pink would be good in the world where we're getting a lot of summons. This guy seems a lot better in a deck that is like, I am playing every summon that I can physically stand. I think after that, what does our evasion situation look like? Do we have a tag for just like, we don't have a tag for just guys who beat ass. So no evasion. It flies. It flies. No evasion, probably won't be a creature. No evasion doesn't hit good. No evasion doesn't hit good. We're never swinging this guy. It flies. No evasion doesn't hit good. No evasion doesn't hit good. No evasion. Well, okay, maybe if we have something that has evasion or hits good already. Okay. Not technically evasion, but he hits really good. No evasion. Flies. No evasion, but hits decently. Okay. Yeah, that leaves me really not sold on Danny Pink. It leaves me pretty not sold on Enduring Curiosity either. Like these are both pretty mana intensive draw engines that I think we want to have a pretty strong belief in our ability to get a payoff. Like I believe in Genova way more. Now, actually, even now that I say that, we have 8 summons in the deck. Ew, I don't even know if I like Genova. So let's maybe wrap those 3 up. Because Eidolon of Blossoms, I definitely believe in. We have 34 enchantments in the deck. That's like landfall draw a card for a deck that has an average number of lands, basically. That's pretty reasonable, and it's going to replace itself too. So I'm pretty confident that's going to see cards. I'm unerringly confident Overlord of the Flood Pits is going to see cards. And obviously Sylvan Library is going to see cards. Now, this guy, our commander flies, which does make these better. Maybe they can hang around just because it's like, all right, our 99 is going to be letting us down, but our commander's not. But it does worry me. I think that's a pretty sizable vulnerability, and I think when you have access to all 5 colors in the game, it's not hard for you to find other draw engines. So of your draw engines, those are um, Danny Pink and Enduring Curiosity are the ones I have the biggest issue with, but I do think it is maybe worth adding some more air quotes normal ones. You know, like the Phyrexian arenas of the world are probably too weak for this deck specifically. Like if we were going to bracket 4, this would just be Rhystic Study, right? Instantly, this would just be a Rhystic Study situation. But right now, we're pretty heavily indexed into a world where we either draw a different summon or we are able to keep a flipped Terra. Neither of which are situations I'm incredibly confident are happening in this deck. Then for a ramp. Okay. I think I take much more issue with our ramp than I do with our commander. Like, Fenrir and Titan, I think this is a good time to get my soapbox out about tag things based on what they are, or what based on the reason you put them in the deck, not just a thing they can do. There is a time to consider the like categories or consider everything that could be in a category to figure out like how many things do I have that could remove something? How many things do I have that could deal combat damage? But like we didn't put Titan in this deck to ramp us. We put Titan in this deck because he's a summon card and that's cool and he's an enchantment we can hit with our commander and like it's a nice benefit that he will be able to ramp us, that he will get all these lands out of the graveyard for us. But at the time where we can afford Titan, it looks like we can afford damn near everything. Like same goes for Mirari's Wake. Like it's the type of stuff that's very similar to Danny Pink, where okay, I can see why these go crazy once the wheels are already turning. They don't help the wheels turn. And whether we want to be in bracket 3 or bracket 4, both of those are high enough brackets where you do need to be asking yourself, like, what could I be doing on turn 1 or turn 2 that is better than getting to Terra faster? Because that is what we're leaving on the table. It's a little bit harder to do it with an enchantment heavy slant for sure, but it doesn't look like we really get anything going until Terra sticks to the board the first time. And I know like turn 2 versus turn 3 doesn't seem like that big a difference, but the higher the power level we're playing at, that can really be a world of difference. I don't think it's a big enough difference that you would want to run like Simeon's Spirit Guide to try to play her on like, or Lotus Petal to try to play her on turn 1 or anything. But you know, you could very comfortably very comfortably live in a world where, we're doing exploration turn one, play an extra land, play a third land on turn two, play Terra, grab our first value engine, and then get it pushing. Like I can't. And I know so often I'm like, oh my god, you have green. Why aren't you playing one mana dorks? They are that good. But to explain the thought process a little more, whenever you're building a deck, I think one of the most useful things you can do is walk through what you think your turns look like. And on every turn, especially turn one, you stop and ask yourself, what is the best thing I could do here? Usually, if you have access to green, the best thing you can do is accelerate how much mana you make. Because if you look at a lot of our value engines, even the ones that we have in here, even the ones that I called out as not the best, it's like 4 mana, 4 mana, 4 mana, 4 mana. This one, I'd be willing to play this on turn one versus a mana dork. Maybe depending on my pot, I might wait if they're not known for casting non-creature spells early. Um, like 5 mana, 6 mana, 6 mana, 8 mana, and like these are all 6 mana, and these are all very expensive things that don't win the game. They're 6 mana things that need time to develop further on the board. So if we were like, okay, I assemble 7 mana, I am winning the game because I have that 7 mana. Like it's still good to get there quickly, but it's actually not as in bracket three, not as desperate to get there. But if you're like, I have to accrue 5 mana to invest in the stock market and I'm not going to take my money out for 20 years. Holy fuck, do we want to get to 5 mana just as quick as we goddamn can? So that makes me like wild growth a lot. Um this just like isn't even ramp, right? This is trying to secure our land drops based off of what Terra is doing, but it doesn't get us to Terra faster. It does not let us play. It's not acceleration. It's mana reliability. We're trying to make sure that if we have, a fetch land or an evolving wilds or something, we can guarantee our land drop for turn, but it's not getting us ahead of curve, which that is an idea I think you should care more about. I feel like the best runouts for this deck are almost always going to be turn two Terra. There were a few lines of play I could see doing instead of turn two Terra. Notably, that would be like, because we have access to every color in the game, I could see you going for, okay, what do I want to do instead of play a mana dork on turn one? Maybe I want to entomb, because on turn two I can animate dead. Maybe that's maybe that's a little bit better. um Not that I think you should swap over to a recursion strategy or a reanimation strategy. That's just the only thing that stands out as what would I rather do. Whereas in this deck, it looks like turn one, we're passing. Turn two, we're going to do something, but it's going to be some mix of like set up for a later saga, try to protect our commander, but it doesn't protect our commander on a curve out because we're not going to have 4 mana on turn three because we're not ramping on turn one. This is an only in response thing. This spell doesn't really do anything. This doesn't really do. No. This one's great actually. So this might be another argument for why would I want to curve out to Terra? Because if I get Terra on the field and Terra on the field turn three and I've played Philia turn two, then I get to flicker her and I get through 10 cards in my deck and I get 2 enchantments to hand. That's pretty good. So what would be a useful exercise is tag these by cards I would like to play turn one, cards I would like to play turn two, cards I would like to play turn three, and just examine like how many things are in the pile of it's worth it to not play Terra until turn three if it meant I could have this on the field turn two. Because looking at your deck as is, I think the only things that I would be willing to delay Terra for are Celia, Sylvan Library, That's it. I wouldn't be willing to delay Terra for Weaver of Harmony. Um, I would obviously just play Irma after Terra. And so it seems like we take a lot of turns off in the early game that we really, really don't have to. Like this even looks like an acceptable opening hand, but nothing is going to happen until turn 3. And even on turn 3, the only thing that's going to happen is we're going to get the mill 5, bring something back. And then like the thing that's going to happen the turn after that is we're probably going to flicker Terra. We probably like I'm going to try to avoiding spending 8 minutes in this playtest, but we would be able to set up Owaka early. Right? We would get that turn 2. We would get Terra. We would mill 5. We would get an enchantment to hand. I would probably like impending one of these overlords and then use Owaka to draw cards. So like we have a cute synergy engine going, but it's not doing anything threatening. And if we're not going to do anything threatening, it behooves us to do those non-threatening things really, really quickly, especially if we are aspiring to the lofty heights of like, I want to explode your butthole with my 8 million summons. We have tutors, we have blink, finisher, sure. And I'm down with the flicker in general. I do want to be clear about that, especially when we have, but we're low on those summons, which really, really hurts me. Finisher, recursion. I don't know that I would be playing this much one-off recursion, quite frankly. Unless it could be like, is there an enchantment that I don't know if I'd play Whip of Erebos either, because we really don't want to. We want to be building up a pretty full graveyard. My beef with all this one-off recursion is like we're milling a lot. Terra's already getting us the best enchantment card of the 5 back to our hand, and this would be a moment where I take another little soapbox and tell you if getting the best enchantment out of the top 5 into your hand is not good enough, that is a problem with our enchantment quality, not with our recursion quality. Like we need to, you would be better off getting the deck to a place where you go, okay, yeah, these 4 go to the graveyard like forever. The ones I would stand behind are Timeless Witness, because we can redo it from the graveyards. You know, we leave her in the graveyard, we don't care. And then I really like anything, you know, Resurgent Belief is fine. All the ones that bring everything back, but I'm not like Nyx Weaver seems like the worst of both worlds. There's almost no way we want to delay Terra to play her. I would hate to play this guy on turn 4 or turn 5 instead of sticking whatever meaningful, hopefully meaningful enchantment I got back. And the recursion is okay, but I would much rather be spending this mana to remove a threat, to cast another blink spell. I'd rather spend the card slot on a 1 mana ramp enchantment to get Terra out on turn 2. And I think the same thing goes for Eternal Witness. Folliged Recovery kind of gets a pass because it's a land. Even Conduit of Worlds, I'm not totally sold on. I like it more than the others because we have a manaless way to repeatably replay the things we're doing from our graveyard, so we could maybe keep that one. But I would be off on Eternal Witness and Nyx Weaver for sure. I might even be off on Balaged Recovery just because anytime I get a good opening hand that no longer works because I have an MDFC that can't enter untapped. That happens to me one time, I'm done, bro. I'm cutting you off. I'm never calling again. I am defenestrating you. And I realize we're talking about like a 1% scenario here, but it's whatever world you end up living in, it is very important for this deck to be able to stick an untapped green pip on turn 1. And I think sticking an untapped green pip on turn 1 is probably more important than whatever Balaged Recovery gets. But let's keep looking and see if there's anything else. Like, frankly, if you're in bracket 3, one of your game changers should be Underworld Breach. Even if we're not comboing off. Like, we have these two game changers here. And then we have Sarah's Sanctum. Yeah, Underworld Breach is better than Sarah's Sanctum. So in the world where you stay bracket 3, put this in instead. This is your one-off recursion. The hell? Okay. A little like power strip cable, just the tape wore off. Or it's like you just play Starfield of Nyx. Like it's if we I do not think there is anything in this deck that is so, unless you are going for the combo, which I again kind of think you should be off of for bracket 3. Unless you are going for the combo, there are no one-off pieces that are worth using a one-off bring back to hand spell, especially when we're in 5 colors. If it, like, whatever it is, bring it back to the battlefield, right? If it's a summon, reanimate it. If it's an enchantment, use Starfield of Nyx. Like, please God, just anything else. And then we have copy. We have, hey, look at you playing Grasp of Fate. Destroy non-enchantment creatures. That's pretty solid. Down with Buried in the Garden. I'm down with Annie Joins Up. And I even think getting rid of the one-off recursion might be good for you to help you move away from this non-legendary clone plan, which should really be the heart and soul of your bracket 4 game plan rather than your bracket 3 game plan. And so that would open up like you don't have to cut all of these. I kind of want you to, but you really don't have to. But even if all you did was cut the one-off pieces, I think that opens up space for you to do more interesting stuff. But I think 90% of this is just like, okay, if this was 1 mana instead, if this is Utopia Sprawl, if this is the other one, it's only like 3 in the game. If this is Wild Growth, if this is Utopia Sprawl, or if this is Exploration or Burgeoning, because we have the lands in hand, and we get to go turn 2, hey, now this is happening. There's so little that we can do that isn't that's going to feel better than that. And now we can either get our Flicker engine going sooner, we can get, like, now we can do the ramping that is going to try to make like crazy amounts of mana for big turns happening, or we can just get removal and ramp ourselves a little bit. I think me personally, I would take Buried in the Garden, but I think any of these are fine. But doing that turn 2 instead of turn 3, and then being able to, on turn 3, go make the decision between, I'm going to set up a draw engine, I'm going to remove a threat, I'm going to slow flicker my commander. That is much, much more potent, because now you're getting into the meat of your game plan while other people are still trying to set up. And so maybe the only things we're missing here are what is currently not an enchantment that we can change into an enchantment. For Blink, there is Touch the Spirit Realm. Now this one we're trading away a little bit of mana efficiency, but it is a 2 mana uncounterable flicker that comes back at end step. That's very, very important for ducking board wipes. It's not better than Ephemerate, but I'm going to try to make a pitch to you for why you might run it over Ephemerate. We can get this off the mill. If we get this, a counterspell no longer stops it. If we cast it in response to a board wipe, Ephemerate will bring us back just in time to get board wiped. Essence Flux will bring us back just in time to get board wiped. But much like Parting Gust, this will bring us back at end of turn, which in many situations is much safer. So I'd probably argue for it taking the place of Cloud Shift, because then it also double dips as a removal piece as well. Is there any other What do we have in our? Do we have anything that's not an enchantment in our removals? No. Okay, I'm decently happy with that. Um, but I would recommend Eladamri's Vineyard would be fucking insane. I would respect you so much if you went for this. I do think you could use the mana better than everybody else because this is going to get you to your commander. Oh, it's even as I say it, I like it less and less. Keep this card in the pocket for when you want a totally fucking crazy game. Every 10 games, pull this out because everybody else gets to use the mana before you, which is super fucking awful. But it does get you turn 2 Terra, and it will get you to flipping Terra sooner. We don't want a mana bond. We don't want a fast bond. We don't care about that. Okay, but I would certainly be playing Burgeoning, Wild Growth, Exploration, Utopia Sprawl, and let me see what you said about your pod to see if Carpet of Flowers is worth. Upgraded Final Fantasy precons, Arabella, Prosper, Kali the Vast, Dragon. We probably do not want to be on Carpet of Flowers, but these 4 1-mana ramp options are without question worth playing. It may even be worth playing dorks as well, even though they're not enchantments, just because getting turn 2 Terra is that impactful. Bring in probably Starfield of Nyx and Underworld Breach in place of these one-off recursion spells we already have. I would suggest probably moving away from the clones. Just because it's not going to feel as bracket 3. You are in a friend pod, so you can just have a conversation with them about it. What I would probably recommend over these is enchantment that does big fun thing that I'm going to like very much. So I would recommend extravagant replication over this. And this is like win more card, bad, bad, bad. Sakashima. Sakashima of 1,000 Faces is like way more responsible because it can copy everything we have. Same goes for Aten Soldier. Same goes for Irma. But I think the dopamine value when we get this is really high, right? Like if we use it to copy, um, if we use it to copy Buried in the Garden, where we have a removal engine going. If we use it to copy a summon, we're really happy. If we use it to copy a card draw engine, we are just ripping through our deck. And if we use it, we can even use it to copy our commander as another like Y'shtola rule-esque flicker engine, where we go like, okay, yeah, legend rule is so sad, but I'm still milling 5. I'm still getting an enchantment back. If I have her flipped, I'm still gonna get this trigger off one time. And I think there is a lot more enjoyment to be had there in bracket 3 versus going, okay, game's over now, which is much more of a bracket 4 threat profile. And there's one other enchantment like this I really want to, like one of the courts. Yeah, I don't know how good you're going to be at defending the monarchy, but this could be, I think this could be quite useful, particularly if you are in a meta where other people are playing any enchantments or any artifacts that have any value. Um, Getting token copies of your ramp is basically never a bad situation. Having this become a second card draw engine, having this become the useful stuff could this become? Becoming removal is not as useful unless it's a summon. But I guess becoming Annie joins up could be kind of funny. So we get triple triggers out of our legendaries. Um, but that is the angle that I would be working here. Removal type enchantment. Because what we also want to juice up is we want to make sure that when we get this big replenish turn, it's like it has to slam the door shut. I would rather have too many enchantments such that I couldn't always get like Like, I would rather have more enchantments go into the grave than I could get back, such that when I inevitably cast Replenish, it's like I fucking board wipe you, and I get 5 creatures, and they all get haste. So I think that also. I don't know the exact rulings on this, but if Rhythm of the Wild would give Riot to the things that entered with Replenish, that would be very useful to have in here, or maybe having like Bitter Reunion. Um, I think having a haste enabler would be very, very valuable and could be another thing you either replace one of those one-off recursion slots with or one of those game-ending clones with, such that when you get the replenish turn, you also get to give everything haste, and then everybody just explodes on the spot. So I know that one was a bit long, but if you have any other ideas, please let me know in the comments. Otherwise, I wish you the best, and I do hope this helps.